Well, hello everybody. Nick McGinnis here with Meadow Green Farm. And today I wanted to talk about building soil organic matter or soil carbon on your pastures. And I was watching a video on YouTube about 10 days or 2 weeks ago. And the gentleman was grazing heavily right down to the basically the soil. And he was rolling out carbon this time of year. He's rolling out hay to build more carbon in the soil. But I just wondered from my own experience if that wasn't the most cost-effective way to do it. In my opinion, you're going to get a lot more soil organic matter forming and spending a lot less money if you can occasionally, whether it's every other year or every 5 years. It really depends on your pasture and where it's at in terms of being restored. But if you can let your pasture mature like we've done here, and you end up with a nice amount of grass just stomped into the ground or trampled over, and like if you look here, a lot of these grasses have been stomped on, pooped on the last day. They left a lot. Some of the areas where it was heavy in clover, they grazed that. But it's not the end of the world to see some of your pasture on some years get kind of weedy. We have a lot of goldenrod in this field, and it's not something that I worry about right now because there's a way to manage for that. And goldenrod, like a lot of other weeds, your cattle will forage on it in its early stages. So this year, for a few reasons, mainly that we were trying to restore this pasture, we let this one get quite mature. We're into the first week of August here, and we haven't grazed it yet. Now, I noticed in years past, in these pastures that I've grazed last, we have a legume known as vetch, which grows little pods on it. Here's some right here. I guess it's quite nutritious for cattle, and it's a legume. But if you do this, trampling, leaving a lot on the ground, letting a pasture mature once in a while, you're allowing that plant to really go through its full physiological development, and you get a lot of root growth. So even weeds, like one of our pastures has a lot of Queen's Anne lace in it, which is like a wild carrot. They have 12, 14-inch, really starch-rich tap roots. They almost look like a parsnip. And they do a great job at breaking up the soil and bringing nutrients from in the subsoil up to the surface. So it's not a bad idea to let a pasture mature like this. I'm not saying you want to do it every year, but it should be a tool in the grazer's toolbox to allow a pasture to get mature. And we had a really wet May and June, and the pastures were growing like crazy. And now, the last 6 weeks, it's been 3 to 4 degrees above normal temperatures, and we only had about 30 mils of rain in the last 6 weeks. And the average rainfall for our area in that time span is about 150 mils. So one of the things with drought is it's more what your normal should be for your area. If you're in the high plains of Colorado, maybe 30 mils of rain over the summer is a good thing. I'm not quite sure, but I can tell you in our climate with our soils, that turns into a drought really quickly. So it's actually turned out to be quite good for us to have some mature grass here. All of the stuff that they're leaving behind, even if it's mature and kind of woody, that'll make great stockpile forage in the fall. So my parting words would be, if you want to build soil organic matter in your pastures, you have to leave residual behind. I'd say at minimum 50%. And that'll give you a nice ground cover all through the fall. It'll hold moisture in, and it'll keep those late season grasses growing. If you're grazing it down all the way to the roots, and it looks like a golf course, you can roll hay out on it, but it's just not going to have the same effect, and it's very expensive. So really, to manage this, a lot of it comes down to stocking density. And one of the biggest mistakes I see in our part of the world is overstocking. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to follow along for more.